I've been actually re-listening to our episode of Behind the Scene podcast where we went over the top 5 superhero beatdowns of all time.
Oh man.
I
All right.
have. And number 1 was Christian Bale's Batman versus Tom Hardy's Bane. And I've been re-listening to that audio of the beatdown. I've been re-listening to the pit where he escaped from the pit and the audio cues from that. Such a powerful moment. And I have a coworker at work named Ryan, and AKA Bitter Ryan, and he gives us some of the beats and the samples we use in our podcast. Big shout out to him because he definitely helps out. Man's got phenomenal music. He's phenomenal musician, sampling, making beats, and just doing his thing on SoundCloud. Y'all definitely check him out. And he's a big time Batman fan. He's lending me a couple Batman books. He's lended me The Killing Joke, and I got like 2 Justice League books right now. I'm trying to read up on. And one of the interesting things, we always have these superhero discussions at work. One of the interesting things he said to me was that they, as great as Christian Bale or Michael Keaton or Batfleck has been, there's never been. He told me there's never been a true defining version of Batman in live action where they embodied everything about the character on film. Right?
That's a hot take, and we're right on time because we did this a year ago. Keep cooking.
Right. So with that kind of statement, it just really made me think in the last week or so is that can you really truly adapt a character to live action and embody everything that character represents in their 20, 30, 40, 50 year plus history, 1,000 comics, 100 comics, 50 comic plus run into a 2.5-hour movie to, let's just say, even a Netflix series or Disney Plus series? Can you is there such thing as a perfectly adapted character from the superhero comic book medium to live action? Does that character exist? Does that character exist? And can you actually do that?
Man. Now, I do think that it's possible, and oh man, that's a rough question, brother. But what I'm gonna say is that there's nothing can be perfect. It can never be perfect because there are certain things that are on page that just can't carry over to live action. You can do your best to try to make it make sense, but you can never carry it over 100%. The vision of the director and the studio and the writers and the actor, lightning in a bottle has to be caught for everything to line up kind of perfectly. But what I will say is that we've had instances where the essence of a character has been captured in live action. So before I get into that, do you think that with Batman, has that been captured yet? Because we had a conversation about this before, but with Batman specifically, have we gotten that yet, or is there still some food on the table there with that particular character?
Man, okay, I'm gonna have a little hot take here. And I know the Batman fans are gonna be a little bit upset. But here's what I'm thinking. So I know the animated series is damn near perfection. Batman animated series from the 90s, that is your quintessential Bruce Wayne. Problem is, that's animated. They nailed it. That's a 10 out of 10. That's a perfect adaptation from comic book to at least TV medium right there. Live action wise, in my opinion, out of everyone who's played the Batman Bruce Wayne character, I still have to go with Christian Bale from Christopher Nolan series.
Okay, I agree.
Here's the reason why. The reason why I think I relate to this character, this version, so much more than others. And yeah, Christopher Nolan directions definitely help. And the fact that they're great movies helps as well. is that I don't get the feeling that he still has mommy and daddy issues anymore. I don't get the
Mhm.
feeling that he's still stuck in, was it Crime Alley? You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? Reliving that past trauma and over again. I don't get the sense of feeling that he's beating up on criminals for mental therapy anymore. This is a Bruce Wayne who felt like he was genuinely trying to do good for the city of Gotham and was willing to do whatever, and not whatever, but was willing to do as much as he could to make the city a better place. This is a guy who hung up the cape and cowl for 10 years. 10 years. And I think that's a little bit underrated in terms of like the portrayal of a character. When he hung up the cape and cowl for 10 years because he basically sacrificed his night going as Batman because it was to make good on Harvey Dent and what he did and to try to keep the
Uh-huh.
criminals. He did. It was successful. It was successful. It made Gotham a better place. The only problem was Bane showed up. Other than
Uh-huh.
that, if Bane didn't
Right.
show up, everything would have been
Right.
fine.
And when Bane showed up, he came outside and caught the fade. Even though he
Yeah.
lost,
Yeah.
even though he got washed, he still
Hmm.
came outside and caught the fade.
Right. It wasn't like he had this itch to like, I gotta come back out and beat up criminals because my parents died. You know what I'm saying? I think Michael Keaton is the second closest to getting this kind of feeling. But Ben Affleck, just from the way he is, you could, man, he's not over that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like just how jaded and these killer instincts and so over the top of how untrusting he is and
Uh-huh.
just the way he talked, the way he moved, the way he was in that film, you could tell. Come on now, Superman mentioned Martha, and he freaks the fuck out, saying, "Why did you say that name?" You know what I'm saying? Like you can
Word.
totally tell he's not over that shit. He's still traumatized. He's still even this older, grizzlied ass Batman is still traumatized by that killing of his parents, to where he's off. He's mentally off. He's not there anymore. Val Kilmer, I mean, that's an okay portrayal. Michael Keaton was pretty decent. We won't mention George Clooney.
Nope.
I mean, that's a good and
Nope.
that Adam West version. It's a fun take in the '60s, man, or '70s. Um, so Christian Bale's version iteration was really the one that to me hit home in a sense that this is a guy who broke past his limits, who went over, he went past the trauma of his parents dying, and was legitimately trying to do good for his city because he loved the city, and he was trying to do good as a person for his city, regardless of his millionaire, billionaire status, regardless of the tech, regardless of him being Batman. He did what he thought was good for the city. And I think other live action versions don't quite embody those ideals that he did. So that's just my hot take on the best live action version of Batman with Christian Bale.
Okay. So with that being said, what I will say is this here. I can't add anything on to what you said in regards to his portrayal as Batman. So I'm just going to transition to other characters here.
Uh-huh.
I think that over the course of Hugh Jackman portraying the character of Wolverine slash Logan, we got the core essence of what that character was about. Even though every movie that we seen him in might not have been great or might not have been up to the
Yeah.
standard that we were expecting, his portrayal of that character was always top notch. There was always a sense of genuineness and believability in that Logan was always a guy that was just trying to survive. He was always a guy that was trying to make the best out of every situation based on what it was he was capable of doing. He was always someone who was trying to survive over everything else. It culminated, yes, X-Men Origins was not a good movie.
Right.
The Wolverine was probably at best a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 movie. I enjoyed it all the way up until the end of that movie. when they until they went over the top with some of the special effects. But Logan, for me, was the perfect way to end everything that came before that. A good movie to end a bad journey is what Logan was in 2017. If you get
Damn
what I'm
right.
trying to say here,
For
right?
sure. I'm
Like
picking up what you're dropping, man.
because that was really a tragedy. Like that was a great movie, but
Hmm.
if we're really thinking about it, everyone who came in contact with Logan from the beginning of that movie up until the end of that movie, you could argue came out worse than they did before they met him. But at
Yeah.
its core, the character of Wolverine was always the guy who was gonna outlast and outlive everybody, in spite of how bad the situation ended up becoming. To me, that is one of the best kind of on-screen front page portrayals of a character to me. Logan honestly doesn't get enough credit in my opinion, bro. That was a fucking great movie, man. And
Should have killed
you
the
know,
award season. Yeah.
and I don't even know. I'm not even sure if we can like put Logan in that category of being like a superhero movie. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
that's true.
Logan was more of a western than anything else. You know, even like the fight scenes and the violence in that movie were like short and sweet. It was quick and dirty are the words that you use. There were no extended kind of
Hmm.
fight scenes to where we get this excellent choreography and everything like that. It was brutal and it was quick, and then we kind of moved on to the next thing here. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, dude. That was a 17-year journey. 17 years.
right,
And a
right.
beautiful, I wouldn't say beautiful, but it is kind of beautiful conclusion in the fact that it concluded. We saw a proper ending. We
Yep.
saw how our heroes that we've loved since 2000 came to an end. And we saw a little bit of a seed for the future with X-23. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I know the Wolverine stands are mad because Hugh Jackman's 6'3" and Wolverine's 5'2" and hairy. I know he's more animalistic. I know he's also intelligent. I know he can properly speak Japanese and multiple languages. I know that he's also a better martial artist. He knows martial arts. He should not be getting his ass
Mm-hmm.
kicked like that. But again, that's that whole, not everything is going to be, 100% on page to on film. And what they did get was the core of the character. They got
Yep.
80% of it right, to where those are kind of minute details, in my opinion, because he can't speak multiple languages, because he wasn't this master martial artist and he wasn't 5'3" and more hairier.
Right. But you know
Um,
what he can do? You know what he can do
yeah,
is get in that situation and figure out a way to get through it. And
yeah,
that's what really matters in all of that.
damn right, man, damn right. No, the Wolverine's a perfect example. I'll go even further than that. I'll say Daredevil, the Netflix series. I think that's a damn near perfect portrayal of Matt Murdock.
Yep.
Easy,
Yep.
easy.
And the most important part of that is that we had time. You know, for the
Mm-hmm.
three season run of the Daredevil on Netflix, I feel still doesn't get enough credit. For whatever reason, it still doesn't. The whole excuse me,
We
the
good.
entire Netflix MCU still doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion, because it came at that in between period before the streaming wars began,
Yeah.
where a big think about this, bro. In 5 years from now, it'll be hard to even fathom that there was a point in time where this huge multimedia corporation in Disney was really willing to go to the Netflix because Netflix was the biggest guy on the block in terms of streaming. We still haven't fully processed how big of a deal that was at the time. You know,
Yeah.
there were movies like Inception and Skyfall and The Godfather and Goodfellas and Casino and Civil War and Endgame and The Last Jedi and Solo that were streaming exclusively on Netflix. We still haven't processed that was how easy we had it in that era before the streaming wars. We
Simpler
still
times.
haven't we still have not processed that yet. But digress. Anyway, I agree with you. Like that character and that portrayal of the world that Matt Murdock lived in, I'm not if it wasn't perfect due to some of the pacing of the episodes and the fact that Netflix had to get 13 episodes out of each season, I don't care.
Yeah.
But
And also, he didn't have red hair. Big whoop-de-doo.
whatever, right? But
Right.
if we're talking about the translation from page to on screen, I agree with you 100% there. The portrayal of Daredevil was fucking excellent, and I need more respect to get put on that TV series, dog. I need some more respect to get put on the Daredevil because that was excellent television. Regardless of what people want to say, that was great television, and I feel as though that character is going to be validated by the end of 2021.
Hopefully, because it feels like that's inside baseball now. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
only the hardcore really remember that iteration, despite the quality of that portrayal, and despite the
Mm-hmm.
quality of that season. Everyone already moved on to the point where if they did reboot Daredevil with Disney, it would be like, oh, there was a Netflix series. You see, I mean, just and there literally be people like, oh, there was a Netflix series on that. You know, just because the transition of how the streaming wars have happened. We've jumped on to Disney Plus and we've jumped on to these other things, but Daredevil and I'll just I'll give credit to other Marvel shows on Netflix. They really were that nice in between era of the Disney Plus and before the streaming wars happened. And I really hope that we're validated with this in 2022. Hopefully. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead and before we jump into MCU,
Oh yeah.
I'll go two real quick. I'll go with Christopher Reeve and Superman, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
go with Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man. I think those are two characters and actors that were damn near close to capturing the essence and the feel of what those characters are in comics. I know
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely some discrepancies between what's on page and what's on film. Yes, I know Peter Parker should maybe be a little bit more confident once he gets his powers. Yes, I know that he has mechanical web shooters. Yes, you know what I'm saying? I know all this and this and that, or Superman, whatever. But those two, Tobey Maguire and Christopher Reeve, really embodied what those characters were to the point of basically catapulting those characters into a further stratosphere in pulp culture. They elevated the material
Yep.
to a certain degree to where it was mainstream accessible. You can put Michael Keaton in there too. You can put Michael Keaton in there too, along with Christian Bale, because he did launch that whole shit going forward. And if he failed, we wouldn't have gotten a Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan series. So I'll give Michael Keaton his props too on that.
Mm-hmm.
MCU wise, Tony Stark.
Whoa,
Oh, go
whoa,
ahead,
wait,
go
wait,
ahead, go
wait,
ahead, go
wait,
ahead. Wait. Hold on. You got more?
No, so just to back up there, I
Yeah.
think if Christopher Reeve didn't have that impact as Superman, like DC Comics is doing an entire Superman 78 run right now.
They are.
You know, they're doing an entire Superman fucking 78 run on print right now. Like for whatever reason, they still haven't captured whatever it was that Christopher Reeve had as that character more than 40 years ago on screen. They still haven't figured out the right way to portray that character in live action so many years later. So that definitely counts for something. Christopher Reeve is synonymous with Superman forever. I
Yep.
don't care who they cast as Superman. It's unfortunate because I would love to see that character get that type of light, but we're at a point now where Warner Brothers is fucked up so many times to where I don't have any faith that they can pull it off. I don't think they're capable of being able to pull that off. With Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire, there is not much more that can really be said. He did everything that could be done. Sam Raimi did everything that could be done to make that character feel as though that was somebody who could live in this world that we live in right now. Even though Spider Man came out almost 20 years ago, to this day, I don't identify with any other superhero character that has ever debuted in live action more than I identify with Tobey Maguire's portrayal as Spider-Man. I will argue anybody to the death. My hill to die on in this culture that we occupy is that Tobey Maguire is the greatest portrayal of any superhero character ever put to print. More than
Oh
I
shit!
don't. I listen, and I'm just keeping it 100
Yeah,
with you.
man.
I will argue down anybody that you can bring me Adam West, you can bring me Daniel Craig as 007, you can bring me Christian Bale, you can bring me Hugh Jackman who can do no wrong, you can bring me Robert Downey Jr. who is almost at that level where he can do no wrong, and I'll still argue with anybody that that is the best portrayal of any superhero character that has ever been put to print and translated onto live screen. The portrayal of Spider-Man by Tobey Maguire is the only superhero that ever had bills to pay, that ever had doubts about how he was going to put food on the table and get to work the next day. That's the
Mm.
only. I gotta cook this. My bad, bro.
Go ahead,
That's
man.
that is the only character that I've ever seen on screen who had superpowers that didn't know how he was going to keep the lights on or where he was going to sleep at night. The only character who had a superpower that was more of a detriment to his real life than it was to his superhero life. Miss me with all of that bullshit, bro. Tom Holland is an excellent actor.
Yeah.
And I know that this movie that comes out in December is going to be a game changer. But miss me with all of that bullshit. Like, I'm sorry, dog. My bad.
You're good, man. Oh man, you're
Let's
good.
just
Nah,
get into the
those are
MCU.
facts you're saying, dude, man. I can't name you a live action portrayal of a character that had portrayed those same kind of struggles like he did. And yeah, he had help. Sam Raimi is a phenomenal director. He killed that shit. He got Spider-Man. He understood Spider-Man. He read those comics. He knew the source of what the intrigue of it, a blue collar man, a blue collar superhero who is ultimately relatable because has the same struggles as any one of us out here in real life. That's why Spider-Man has that appeal. You know what I'm saying? Um, no, man. I mean, you're cooking for real, dog. Anything else other than that for me, live action? I mean, we can move to the MCU. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr., like you mentioned, as Tony Stark. He's another person who's pretty much elevated the character. Iron Man was, again, I think we mentioned it before, Iron Man was a fucking nobody, dude. Like, no one
Man,
gave a fuck
word.
about Iron Man before the
Yep.
MCU. Sorry. Anyone who gave a fuck watched the cartoons in the 90s and maybe wish there was another season. That
Mm-hmm.
was about it. And no one was buying Iron Man like that. Chris Evans is Captain America again.
Mm-hmm.
Another actor who elevated. I'm sorry, Cap was cool. Cap was fine in the comics, but
Well,
he was
we
not
didn't
the
give a
main.
fuck about Cap. We thought Cap was a lame, bro. Let's just
We
keep it
did.
real.
No, we thought Cap was still lame in the MCU
Yep.
until Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Literally till 2014.
Yo.
Cap was not cool until 2014. With two movies, The Avengers and the first Avenger, Cap was
Until
not
he
cool to.
started,
Yep.
yeah. Until he started giving out invites to the fade, we didn't give a fuck about Cap, bro. You right.
Yep.
You
He didn't
right.
go over as a babyface until Winter
Yep.
Soldier, man.
I
Yep.
agree. And with Thor, it kind of took a little bit more time for us to recognize that character. It took us some time to understand that character. So,
It really did.
Yeah, everybody did a good job there. Everybody did a great job there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, include like, of course, Chadwick Boseman as
Absolutely.
T'Challa, King T'Challa. I mean, it's still that role is forever. No one will really want to touch that shit. You know, the
Hmm.
standards are set so high. Um, no one's really going. The pressure to deliver on that. It's definitely got a different mystique on it, rather than trying to recast Iron Man or trying to recast Superman. It's definitely one of those roles where it's like, I can't really. Can you really accomplish that? You know what I'm saying? Can you really go on that level? That T'Challa as a role is now forever going to be. I won't say tarnished, but it's a difficult role for sure. So yeah, that was he's definitely one of those characters that was like as close as you can get um from on page to live action performance. Anything non Marvel and DC, maybe Brandon Lee is the Crow. Because
Uh,
no one
can't,
knew about the Crow until the movie. To be honest with you.
because that's something for later on right
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. That's going to other territories, but
Yeah,
yeah, man. I
man.
mean, I think those are some of the best portrayals of superheroes, superhero live action portrayals on screen. And no, I mean, it's hard to get that one for one. It's hard to get everything that a character is all about and encompasses about in an hour and a half or 2 hour, or 3 hour movie. It's hard. You have thousands of comics, hundreds. You have so many
Hmm.
hours of lore and backstory to try to put it in a film medium, try to package it and to give you all of it so that you can process it and be entertained in a film style. It's very, I don't think a lot of people really think about the process of the filmmaking and try and make that adaptation work for a
Hmm.
character. So
Right. Because with that being said, bro, we still got motherfucking Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze for some strange reason. We
yeah, damn. Yep, that is true.
yeah, we that's still something that happened, you
We
know.
still got Jim Carrey's The Riddler.
And you know what? I'm not gonna hold you up, bro. Jim Carrey as the Riddler was not all that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Carrey as Edward Nigma was what was bad. Him being the
Ah.
Riddler, him as the Riddler wasn't all that out of character because we already seen him as the Mask. But there was no separation between Edward Nigma and the Riddler. There really wasn't any separation. He was the same person in
Mm-hmm.
both parts there. So that was kind of unfortunate there. Like Batman Forever was not a good movie. It had a great song until Chris
Yeah.
O'Donnell. Chris O'Donnell tried as hard as he could. Val Kilmer tried as hard as he could, but it was a bad movie. But Batman and Robin was that much worse. Um,
Oh, I
damn,
forgot.
bro.
I forgot to give. I'll give Gal Gadot her props as
Oh
Wonder
yeah,
Woman. Despite
oh yeah.
84, whatever you know want to say about it,
Uh huh.
that's still. I know. Despite Linda Carter, I know Linda Carter. She was phenomenal, but Wonder Woman as a whole, uh, Gal Gadot elevated that character and that property to higher grounds with her portrayal in the movies. I'll give Gal. I'll put Gal Gadot up there as well.
You know what? I can't even discredit that. That's true because I don't know what it was. There's something. I'm gonna say it was the overall screen presence that she brought to that character
Yeah.
that makes Wonder Woman viable because the acting side of it comes secondary to the spectacle. And for whatever reason, she's able to carry that in a way to where I don't care what's going on. I'm interested in seeing her as Wonder Woman. I just need to see a great Wonder Woman movie. I need to see a great film
Mm.
involving that character, which is something that we really haven't necessarily gotten yet. Um, Something else that I wanted to mention, man, and this was on my mind here when you mentioned Jim Carrey
Uh
as the Riddler.
huh. Go ahead,
John
man.
Leg John Leguizamo as the Violator in Spawn. Come on, dog.
Mm.
Man,
Yeah, I see what you're coming from on that one.
man, look, dog. Like, so, man, listen. I didn't even know until I was already like an adult. I didn't know that Spawn was rated PG-13. I didn't know that. When I was a kid, I thought Spawn was a horror movie. And then like when I grew up and like caught it on TNT or HBO later on, I realized that it was like an action comedy type joint. That was a fucking bad movie, dog. Michael J. White deserved better than what they gave him with that
Yeah,
movie, man. He deserved
yeah,
better than that, dog.
man, they tried for what it was. I'm not sure if the
Hmm.
technology didn't catch up to what they were trying to do. Um, Again, it's the '90s, mid '90s. It's one of his most iconic roles, and people still think, despite the quality, people defend this movie on the internet. And they defend it in real life for what it was. Not everyone trashes it like Mortal Kombat Annihilation or Batman and Robin, nothing like that. Did Michael J. White deserve better? Yeah, he did.
Yep.
He did.
Everybody deserved better.
Everyone deserved better. At the very least, it was it gave Michael J. White enough of a platform to catalyst himself into other films and to make a career for himself
Hmm.
um afterwards. Because other than that, I think he started in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. He was like a henchman, some shit like that.
Right, and he played Mike Tyson in like a straight to HBO, straight to
Yeah.
video movie and all of that. So yeah,
Hmm.
but like I said, I thought Spawn was a horror movie as a kid. Like my older cousins loved that fucking movie. I was scared to watch it until I watched it later on, and it was like, what the fuck is this here? And they had John Leguizamo as the Violator, and that was a waste of casting right there because there was more that could have been done with that. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the Spawn animated series is still aging very well in 2021. Like for me, and I don't know why I care about this stuff as much as I do, but if you go back and watch a single episode of the Spawn animated series, the sound mixing, the sound quality of the voice acting and the sound effects of that show are top notch. The
Hmm.
animation has aged very well. The subject matter has aged very well. It doesn't get any better than Keith David voicing Spawn to this day.
Nope.
And we're, oh my goodness, man. I don't want to retread too many things that we already talked about here, but Todd McFarlane cashed the checks when the money was on the table. And I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
He did what any sensible businessman would have done in that position.
True.
So I,
True. And
so I
to
can't
this,
be too mad.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Tom McFarlane for. I mean, come on, man. The dude basically said, "Fuck Marvel and DC. I'm doing my own shit." And actually succeeded in it. Not a lot of people can say that. Um, and the fact that how many years later we still haven't got a proper Spawn live action movie,
And we
despite
won't.
despite the superhero genre being at its like highest peak. And despite horror on the come up as well, you got a chance to merge two genres and to make something crazy, crazy good, and a casting of Jamie Foxx. But again, it's just that developmental hell that
Yep.
always seems to come in the creative control. That seems to come with that property with that movie.
And I would much prefer at this point in time for it to not even happen. I don't
Yeah,
care to see. I really don't care to see a live action Spawn movie because,
yeah.
in part, man, look, dog, this is a whole nother segment here. This is a whole nother segment here. But the safety is already off the toaster, to quote Camp Low, as I did before. We've already gotten our fix on adult themed kind of superhero content. There's nothing that can be brought to the table with a live action Spawn movie that's not going to feel like it's too little too late. There's nothing that can be done there. That's my
True.
personal opinion. Not when we've already gotten Wesley Snipes in 3 Blade movies, 2 of which were actually really good. Not when we've gotten Ryan Reynolds portraying Deadpool and making that a mainstream thing. Not when we've already gotten James Gunn taking the Suicide Squad to another level with an R-rated superhero movie. Not when we've already gotten 2 seasons of The Boys kind of clearing up everything that all of the big two ended up missing there. I don't give a fuck about Spawn live action 2021. Give me an animated series before. Give me an animated series with Keith David, and then we can work with something on HBO Max. But leave Jamie Foxx alone. Let Jamie Foxx portray Mike Tyson. Let Jamie Foxx be that talented actor that we already know he is. But leave him alone. Like, leave Spawn alone. I don't care to see Spawn live action. Not if it's not a horror movie. And Candyman just came out a week ago. So what are we
True.
talking about? What are we talking
True.
about?
And we about to get the icing on the cake with Disney Plus Moon Knight series with Oscar Isaac. So
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean they already beat you to the punch on that for the most part.
yeah. You know, Todd McFarlane kind of played himself a little bit there. He should have let the reins go when the money was there, but instead, I think he wants to be Vince McMahon and oversee every aspect of what it was that took place. That could be good or bad, but it's just gonna delay the inevitable, and the inevitable is Spawn being a bad movie.
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. You know what? I know this might be another dicey take, but I'm gonna give the Watchmen movie their credit as well. That cast,
I agree.
Doctor Manhattan, the comedian, all those guys, Silk Spectre, Night Owl, Rorschach. All those were, I think, were great live action adaptations to something that was never supposed to be adapted. The most
Mm-hmm.
complicated and unadaptable comic book series of all time. And I think Zack Snyder was in his bag. And it's a hot take. I think he was in his bag making that shit come to fruition and come to real
Yep.
life. I think that was perfect casting as well for such a
Uh,
non DC
yep.
property.
And man, look, bro. I swear we need to do a movie of the week on that, man. Like,
We
just
do.
put,
We're overdue. We're a little
like,
bit
bro,
overdue on that.
how many times have you seen that movie?
I got the director's cut on DVD. I've probably seen the
Whoa,
regular cut 3 times. I probably see the director's the theatrical cut 3 times, and the director's cut about 4 times.
wow, okay, I dig it, man. I dig
Yeah,
that. That's a movie that I think has aged relatively well, and I think the testament to it aging pretty well is that most people don't really talk about it. You know, a lot of
yeah,
people, the movies that are pretty bad, the movies that don't age well, are the ones that tend to get dragged on the timeline a little bit. And also, you know, it's become kind of trendy to say that none of the MCU movies are good outside of Infinity War, but
yeah. Jumping
we,
on
we
that
ain't going.
bandwagon.
Yeah, we ain't gonna even get into that right
Oh,
now.
dude, you know the
But
MCU is dead. Shang-Chi is dead. Shang-Chi's Eternals, Captain Black
oh
Widow. All the
man, listen, man.
I'm sorry, the MCU is dead. So
Oh man,
yeah,
listen,
they're
Shang Chi.
dead.
Listen, man, Shang Chi is about to start giving out some work, dog.
I'm looking forward to. I'm seeing that shit next week, man. I gotta
Listen,
find
man.
time for that and Candyman at some point.
No, that's a fact, bro. Like my mom is coming to see us next week, dog. Like we
Okay.
going to Shang-Chi is about to be giving out some work. I don't care what anybody says about whatever they got to say. Shang-Chi is about to be giving out some fades, dog. Like that's the most important thing here, right?
Yeah,
Fuck the story. I don't care about the 10 rings. I don't care about none of that. All I care about is Shang-Chi giving out some work, dog. The
for
one that
real.
they want, the one that they need us to get into the theater for is really Spider-Man. The one that they would like us to get into the theater for is the Eternals. Shang-Chi is the movie that they made because they know they can make it.
Hmm.
Once we come to that realization, everything else is kind of secondary. But anyways, here,